Hey guys, Yankee here, and today I want to be giving my thoughts on Tenchi Muyo OVA 2 Episode 3. Um, this is an episode all about Ryo-Ohki, of all characters, right? Um, some of the characters that didn't really get episodes themselves in the first OVA are really getting a focus here in these first few episodes, right? Washu, who didn't show up until late, got the first episode. Sasami, who was a supporting role in a lot of episodes, but didn't really get one to herself, got episode 2, and now Ryo-Ohki, who is just the cute pet and in a spaceship, is getting an episode to itself in episode 3 here. So, before we actually get into Ryo-Ohki's part of the episode, we got Tenchi in his room, going through some clothes, getting ready to throw stuff out, right? Cleaning out his closet. And then he looks up and sees a kimono, I think. I'm not particularly familiar with Japanese clothing, but I think it's a kimono that's just sort of hanging in the sunlight. And we learn that that is his mother's kimono, and he gets flashbacks of her wearing it. And so shortly after that scene, we get a scene where he comes back to his room, right, and sees the kimono again, but this time, instead of just hanging on a little rack, it is being worn by Ryoko. And he's just sort of sitting there, speechless, staring at her. And Ryoko is just sort of happy that he thinks she looks good in it. And she's twirling around, like Ryoko does. She's excited. She's sort of all over the place, right? And she's just sort of twirling and ends up tearing it significantly, ripping off an entire sleeve. And so in Ryoko's mind, this means, well, I can't just have it with one sleeve, so I have to rip the second one off too. And this obviously gets to Tenchi. This belonged to his dead mother, and Ryoko's just ruined it. So he screams out at Ryoko. He just says, "I hate you." At that moment, as he's basically telling Ryoko he hates her, Ryo-Ohki comes in, and this is where the episode really shifts to Ryo-Ohki, where Ryo-Ohki now thinks, well, Tenchi hates me, so she takes off for a minute. Tenchi, Sasami, they all go out looking for Ryo-Ohki. And Ryo-Ohki is just sort of hiding in Washu's lab. And we're introduced to little creatures that Washu has in a tank, in an aquarium tank, where they're just little blobs with eyes. So we see them for the first time here. And obviously they're going to play an important role in the rest of the episode. But eventually, Ryo-Ohki meets up with Tenchi and everyone again. They make up. And this is where, the real problem Ryo-Ohki is having sort of gets introduced, where Ryo-Ohki wants to help out, specifically wants to help out Tenchi. When Tenchi basically apologizes, he's like, "I'm sorry, we'll get you as many carrots as you want, and we'll bring them home." And so he fills up a basket, is carrying it on his back, and is obviously struggling. Ryo-Ohki tries to help by just sort of flying, and is doing a good job, is lifted not just the basket to take the load off Tenchi, but is also lifting Tenchi. But as a car is coming, Tenchi panics, tells Ryo-Ohki to put him down, and they both sort of tumble to the floor, spilling things everywhere. So Ryo-Ohki really wants to just sort of help, be a help, but can't really do that as a little alien rabbit. And there's even a scene that takes place the next day, where Tenchi is going to the carrot fields, where Ryo-Ohki is insistent on coming along, but Tenchi basically just tells her, no, you stay here, I'll go to the fields. We don't want to have another accident like yesterday. We don't want people to see you flying and stuff like that. And so Ryo-Ohki has this very strong desire to just help Tenchi. And also, this is really glossed over, for how big a deal they made it at the beginning of the episode. While Tenchi is with Ryo-Ohki getting carrots and stuff, he gets home, and we see Ryoko. Oh my god, I'm stumbling over Ryoko and Ryo-Ohki's names a lot this video. We see Ryoko at the gate with the mended kimono in her arms. We don't really get much focus on it. We get a focus on her where she has like a bandage on her face for some reason. I don't know how things went wrong with stitching this kimono up, that she injured her face somehow. But anyway, so we kind of glossed over that, and it's not really brought up again in the episode. But Ryoko did fix the kimono. But anyway, back to Ryo-Ohki, who goes back to Washu's lab after Tenchi basically tells her to stay here. We don't want you causing trouble out in the fields. She goes back to the tank with those little blobs, right? And Washu basically tells us what they are. They are called Masu. They are, oh boy, my notes here are terrible. The original element of all things. So basically something that everything is made up of, right? These creatures are, I guess, a living embodiment of that. And Washu even explains that they were used not just to create Ryo-Ohki, right? I forget there was something else that she used to make Ryo-Ohki besides them, but they are a large part of what created Ryo-Ohki. But it's also what Washu used to birth Ryoko, where Ryoko doesn't have like an actual father. She is made up of, Washu's egg and these creatures. And then we get another moment where basically people are just sort of ignoring Ryo-Ohki. This time it's so Washu is ignoring her so they can watch like this silly space drama on the TV, which is really amusing watching it. I really enjoyed this scene. It's just silly, it's fun. Like the weird egg alien things, I don't know what they are, but they're silly and fun. And basically in that time, the Masu escape. They break out of the lab for some reason. And I want to bring this up because I know there's some people that actually know a little bit about Tenchi that watch these. I don't know if I'm looking too much into things or if this was something that Kajishima actually planned. The human form that the Masu take during this episode, they kind of look like, what is her name? Naja? Is that her name? In the Washu novel, which I haven't read, is where this character is introduced, who was the basis for Kagato and also the thing that merges with Noike at the end of OVA 3. It kind of looks like her a little bit. It's the hair, right? She doesn't really have any features. It's just female body, no face, but like the way that its hair looked reminded me of her. And so I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if I'm reaching and just looking and seeing something that isn't there, but I'm going to throw it out there. Anyway, so we get an explanation of sort of how the Masu function, right? We get like a school lesson from Washu here. Masu are just like a bunch of little creatures. They act as a group with one of them basically functioning as the brain. That's the leader. It makes all the decisions for the group. When this leader of the Masu sense a will stronger than its own, they will accept that as sort of like the new brain and sort of do that. So in this case, Ryo-Ohki went to the tank, really wanted to help Tenchi in the fields, so the Masu see that desire, it is stronger than their own, and they go to help Tenchi in the field. And so when the Masu actually get to Tenchi, they just sort of, they spook Tenchi for one, he sort of runs off. And then they just pick up a hoe and start working in the field. But apparently the Masu are also very territorial, so they will attack Tenchi if they feel they are threatened. And so we get like, not even a fight scene, we get one attack from the Masu, which looked really good. This is the best animated scene, I think, in the whole 3 episodes of this OVA so far, where the Masu just like launch a beam and like I couldn't tell if like Ryoko blocked it or something, but anyway, there was an explosion. It was like a 2-second fight scene, but it looked really good. And then Ryo-Ohki just jumps at the Masu, and Washu decides the best way to stop this is to just have Ryo-Ohki merge with them. And so at the end of this episode, we've got Ryo-Ohki having now assimilated with the Masu. She now has a human form. we start with a human adult form at like immediately after it happens, but by the end of the episode, it's like Ryo-Ohki is now like a toddler. We see her say a single word. What is it? Carrot. And so yeah, by the end of this episode, Ryo-Ohki has a human form. Can still turn into the little rabbit thing. Cool. And then we get a cliffhanger where we see a really, really cool spaceship. Spaceship design and stuff in this series is really cool. But we've got a spaceship with like, I don't know what it's called, like at the front of like a pirate ship where it's got like the wood that's like got like it's just like a statue, like a little wooden statue at the front of a ship, right? Where it's like a mermaid or something in like on a pirate ship, right? I don't know what those are called. Like if you watch or read One Piece, like the Going Merry's head, like that thing, where it's right at the front of the ship. It's just a spaceship where like it's got a statue of a woman, sort of with her arms up in the air, spread out, but with like flowing hair and like flowing cloth coming off it, and it just looks really cool. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I think it looks great. But yeah, this episode, pretty good. We're still getting little seeds of Tenchi's mother throughout. Like, we got a bit in OVA 1. We get a bit here in this episode. And yeah, Ryo-Ohki just runs around and is Ryo-Ohki for a minute and then gets a human form. Not a lot of action going on in this OVA. Again, the 2-second blast from the Masu in this episode was the best animation we've had. And I think it's some of the most action we've had. Like, it was really good. A good episode. All of OVA 2 has been really fun so far. And yeah, it's good. I don't know how many times I can just say it's good. But yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts on this episode. Really enjoyable. I'm excited for the next couple because I think the next two are the villain, and then the final episode is something completely disconnected, which is also really good. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.